Warwhiskey podcast. My name is Justin Fisher, and today we're talking about going back to college as an older soldier or as a veteran. Depends whatever boat you fall into. This came about, a lot of people saw on my personal Facebook page where I posted that I just recently did my graduation walk in December. The reality was I graduated in May of 2020 with a degree in communications from the University of Arkansas. However, because of COVID, we couldn't walk. The college had their commencements for the spring graduates in December, and all of us were able to walk across it. The experience itself was pretty surreal. It's one thing to get the degree in the mail, and you know you're finished, but the walk across the stage was, to me, was a culminating event of a long journey on this phase of life. I started the journey a while back, and for me to walk across that stage as the chancellor was like, you'll always be a college graduate and no one can ever take that away from you, really resonated with me. And having my son there to watch his dad walk across there at age 39 was pretty special to me. But it led into some bigger conversations. I got contacted by a few people about going to college, and they're currently older or they're AGR or whatever. And really, college is not, it's not pushed a lot in our culture like it should be. And what I mean by college, and let's just clarify, college is not the catch-all to everything. However, it does open a lot more doors for people, and it gives you a lot more opportunities. However, in the military in general, especially in the National Guard, we always push college as, well, it'll help you get on the board. Well, that's true. It does. They give you points for having a degree or having, college hours. But they think short term. They never think anything past military. And that's the problem. Every soldier, Marine, Airman, Sailor, whatever Coast Guard are, Coasties, they all, Space Forces, all them people we all have a timestamp on our careers. Some of us make it to the date that we want to get out at. Some of us don't. The environment's very different. The military, if it doesn't need you anymore, it's very big about not having you anymore. And in today's environment, it's become very political at the higher ranks, and whatever. If you make the wrong person upset, they could very well target your career, and that's a reality. It's happened. It's everywhere. Active duty, National Guard. I mean, it's everywhere. It's happened. So you may find your career ending quickly, or you may go out with your plan. We all have to understand that the military is just a phase of our life. It's not our life. You still have life after the military, and that's when we run into this little trouble, this transition time, and that's when it leads to depression and other things that could be considered heinous. And a lot of veterans have issues transitioning from military to civilian because we don't do a great job of doing it. We always say, look at your career field. Oh, your infantry, maybe you work with the police or something like first responder, something of that nature. We don't ask the soldiers what they want to do. So we're going to talk about going to college and my process for going to college, and maybe it can relate to you, and you can possibly use it for your own agendas and your own goals. Step number one is have a vision and follow it, right? And framework everything around your vision. You see a lot of people who they get these degrees because it coincides with a military degree, and it's usually like the emergency management degrees. They're like 2 years, and it's a bachelor's. So that's great. I kind of think, and personally, on my personal level, I think it's kind of a cop-out. I mean, it's a smart move to some degree, but if you're going to go to college, go do what you want to do. Like, I wanted to direct film. And when I started to go to college, I couldn't be a full-time student and be full-time soldier. They wouldn't allow it. So I ended up switching to communication, which keeps me in that field and allows me to go on to the next thing. And I really enjoy communications. I enjoy social constructs and figuring people out and the underlying message of everything. I really enjoy that. But it still keeps me in the ballpark of what I want to do. I want to make film and write books. So my next step is a master's in creative writing. Um, so you have your vision. A guy called me the other day. He's asked me about going to college. He's an AGR, smart guy. He goes, "I want to be planetary studies." I thought that was the most gangster shit I've heard in a long time because that's something I never saw coming. Not from him, but just in general. And I was like, absolutely do that because there's no reason for you to change your dream because you're military. A lot of people are like, well, I just want something to coincide with my career, or I can get a job on post. And there's a lot of roads to happiness. But if you're giving 20 years to the military, why don't you give 20 years to yourself? Why don't you do what you want to do? That's what I always think is that my next career will be just for me. So, because I feel like when I retire, I've given enough to this organization. So, have a vision and follow it. Stay with it. And once you get that vision, start looking at the schools that will help get you to your goal. And I'll tell you right now, a lot of people will push you towards like the American military universities, the Granthams, the University of Phoenixes, all these online schools. And there's actually a list on military.com of the top 5 military friendly schools. Liberty University is another one. A lot of people get masters from there and things of that nature. I will tell you this, and a lot of corporate people will tell you this too. If you can go to a brick and mortar school, as in like established like a University of Arkansas or a UCA or Texas Tech or something like that nature, go to it because it looks better post civilian world. A degree is a degree. However, it's where you it's where you get your degree from. A lot of these brick and mortar schools have online classes. And I'll tell you what, I graduated from University of Arkansas in Fayetteville. Went online there. I'm a Razorback. My name is in the senior walk, and that's a really good feeling to have like alumni and be like, yeah, I went to school there. There's just something about it that adds to it. Now, I'm not taking anything away from the other degrees that are out there. Personal preference, when I go to a job interview and the guy, I look at his wall and he has a University of Arkansas degree and I'm from there, more than likely that's going to give me a little bit of talking points during the interview. So just something to keep in mind. Also, there's a lot of scam online universities out there that say they're accredited, and when you look at them, they're really not. Like I said, brick and mortar always looks better. Brick and mortar always looks better. And if you do your courses right, depending on your degree field, you may never actually have to go there except for graduation. But it always looks nice to have a degree like that one that says University of Arkansas. So, or from whatever school you pick through. I'm just saying that's a personal preference, but a lot of people will second that motion. The third thing is you got to figure out how to pay for it. So if you're currently serving in the Arkansas National Guard, you have something called NGTA, National Guard Tuition Assistance. The short word is it's free college. No, it's not. There's nothing free in college. Okay, is it paid for? Yes, it is paid for. But there's some things that you have to do. Number one, you have to do your job. You have to be compliant. You have to be in good standings with your unit. Number two is you have to apply for every scholarship that's available. Now, if it's like University of Arkansas, there's only certain times of the year that they offer scholarships. If you don't apply for scholarships, you can possibly get denied NGTA. Now, the way it works is that you apply for a scholarship. So you get $1,500 from this organization. That goes into your overall college bill. And at all said and done, the NGTA will pay the remainder of it. So the more scholarships you get, the easier it is for them to pay. If you don't get in time for scholarships, you have to do exception to policy, which could. Mine never got denied because I fell into a weird window coming back from deployment that I didn't really have to. I couldn't apply for anything. So, but you don't want that exception to policy to be the thing that holds you up for your final semester or whenever you're getting started. Okay, so. You can use your GI Bill if you're not in school, and there's some other resources. I encourage everybody to go to the education office. I'm going to keep referring to them because that's what they're supposed to do. So education office, it will be your point of contact for it, but the number one thing should be is good standing. Back in the past, they usually didn't check that stuff. Now they really checked it. When I was a readiness NCO, I had a few soldiers not be able to pay for their college because they were not in good standing. So it's a really big wake up call when that college bill hits them. Okay, so you're also going to figure out how to pay for books. Now, some of you may not have enough time and service in there, and you should have a kicker in your contract that will possibly pay for, or something to that nature that may pay for your books. If not, you have to shop around for your books online. Now, books are expensive. Book stipends are crucial if you can find where to get them at. However, books are expensive. A good website to use is chegg.com. It's chegg.com. You have to understand that when you start to go to college, you get that vision, you got to start figuring out your timelines. You got to make sure you're in the right courses, right, at the right time of the year, and your military advisor at the colleges will help you do that. Then you got to make sure you get your books in time, because sometimes you may not be able to find a certain book. You'll have to go to the university bookstore. Inherently, the university bookstore will be much more expensive than you find online. So basically what it does, I went through Chegg. They sent me a box of my books in it. Inside the box is a return slip and a Red Bull. They sent you Red Bull. So I put Red Bull in the fridge, start first day of classes. That's how it went down. Next thing you need to do is transfer your military schools into credits. Now this is the fourth step, but you could possibly do this very early. There is a process to transfer your military schools, as in your PMEs, your MLS training, and all that good stuff, into credits for school. And what that does is that college credit will help you skip classes and move you a little bit closer to your degree. Now you're not going to knock out your big ones. Your like say your college algebra, your stat, your trigonometry, things of that nature, depending on your degree. You're not going to knock out the big ones, but you're going to get a lot of those little trash classes out of the way. Once you get that done, that's also for the board as well. Transferring your military education and credits just helps you out in general. No matter what you do in general, you may end up 30 to 60 hours just off the bat. Now, they may not count towards your degree, but they will help you somewhat. You might not get all 60 hours towards your 120-hour degree, but it will get you along the way. So, again, reference the education office. They'll talk you to do it. Step 5, one thing you need to remember, it's okay to start small. It's okay to start at a small school. I started off at Pulaski Tech Community College. Probably one of the most rewarding experiences of my life going there. They treated me just like I was like the only student there. The military advisor was really good and took time because they're used to dealing with soldiers who have been out of the game for a minute. You have to swallow some of your pride because you're going to end up taking what's called a compass test to see where you place at. So you may test out of English but not math, and you may end up taking some remedial math classes to get you back into sync. Just go with it. You've been out of the game for a moment. One thing about starting off at a small college, for me, it was convenient because I worked on Camp Robinson. It was just right down the street. The second thing is I was in with people, not saying they're peers, but they're kind of like familiar. They're professionals, they're parents, they're full-time, workers, things of that nature. You still do have some students in there, but most of the time when you come to these smaller colleges, you have a good, diverse mix of professionals and students that will help you find your niche. And when you start doing these small classes, you start getting into a rhythm. Okay, you're starting small. Start off about 9 hours. That's 3 classes. 12 is a full semester. The most I've taken is 15. The least I've taken is 6, and that was my final semester. A lot of people ask, and I'll get to it in a second, about the process when you start it. My thing is this: once you start at the community college, lays down the foundation for how you go to the bigger college. Now, you don't necessarily need to do this. You can start out like a U of A and start from there. However, if you're kind of nervous and don't really know exactly where you're going to go yet, but you want some college, start off at a small school. Get your feet wet. Then once you start getting into the rhythm and you like it, that's when you start moving to the big leagues. That's my path to success. Some people just dive in and go to UCA or U of A. That's great. For me, it was more convenient to do it this way. because I was still trying to decide on the school to go to. The sixth and final step is just grind it out and don't use time as an excuse. A lot of people will shape their vision because of the word flexibility. Well, I want to go to this online university because it's more flexible, or I want to take this degree because it's more flexible. Don't do that. You owe it to yourself. You're giving everything to the military. You owe it to yourself to get something you want. Brick and mortar schools work with you. They may not be like turning in your assignment at any time, even though I have taken a class at brick and mortar that was turning in your assignments by the end of the year. Um, However, they may just your hours are flexible based off your performance. Don't use the word flexibility to hide behind. All right, grind it out. Once I started at 9 hours, and I went 12 to 15 during the summer. I took as many classes as I could. I never stopped going to college, even when I deployed. I never stopped going to college. The only time I may have took a break is if I was transitioning, but I picked it right back up. So once you get into that mindset, get that end state. My end state was I want a degree before I turn 40. I turned 40 in April. So my goal was to grind it out and get it before 40. And I was paranoid that I wasn't going to make it. And I remember in December of 19, my advisor was like, look, you have 2 classes left. You could finish, you could take, or actually it was in August of 19. She goes, you can take 15 hours and stress out all the way to the end, or you can just take these classes and coast your final semester. And I took her advice, and my last semester was a breeze. Just enjoyed the process. Took some really, really good classes. My final 2 classes were really, really great, and just enjoyed actually not having to, because once you're in the pipeline for college, I mean, you're grinding. If you're doing it right, you're grinding because you want to be better. And these little wins that you get, like I remember the first time I got Dean's List, man. And if people who know me know I'm really competitive, and it's mostly, you know, like I have to be better than everyone else around just performance wise. And that for a guy like me to get Dean's List just made me want to get better and better and better, and that drove me to keep going. Um, that being said, when you grind it out, you will get these times where, like I did, my final semester, it was nice. I didn't have to spend every evening or every weekend in front of my computer doing homework, doing videos, things of that nature. I could just enjoy the process, enjoy getting ready for college. When you start getting those emails that call you graduate and your upcoming commencement and all that stuff, that's when it really starts hitting home. And this is all part of that after military plan. And with this, as you're going through and you think about that vision, and you start frameworking all this out, you also got to think about internships, um, job opportunities, things of that nature, so you can start grouping this stuff together. Because just getting a degree is not going to get you anywhere. Like my degree is in communications. I can do anything roughly that's media related. What gets me higher pay is experience. Like I write for a website. I did stuff for ADVA. I make videos. I make podcasts. All that rolls up into a package. Well, that's the only reason I do it is for that next step in the podcast. And then that will crack the next step in the career after military. Where you want to be at the end of your military career is either at the, and it's naive to think you're always going to get the rank that you want or get to where you want to be. But where you want to be at when you get ready to transition into the next step of your life, not military, but your life, is you want to be like where the military is kind of holding me back. So it's time for you to go. That's a great feeling to have. And going to college helps set that framework up for that. So like I said, have a vision, pick the right school, figure out how you're going to pay for it, transfer your military schools into credit. It's okay to start small. You're starting off. Swallow that fear. You can do this. And just grind it out. Put in the work. Put in the time. No one can take it from you once you get it. The chancellor said this. He said, you're always going to be a college graduate. And no one's going to take that from you because you earned it. And I was walking out Bud Walton Arena. It said on the wall, forever a Razorback. That's pretty significant to me. I'm always going to be on the senior walk. I'm always going to be a Razorback. No matter what, I'm always alumni. So that's an opportunity I hope every one of you can take. And whatever school you go to, I highly encourage it. If you need any help, feel free to reach out to your education office, or just just don't give up. That's about my best statement for that. This is Justin Fisher signing off.